day, walking in with his thin skin, lower chin. He knew the names, but they would taunt him with faggot, sissy, punk, queen, queer. Although he never had sex in his 15 years. But when they harassed him, it was for a reason. And when they provoked him, it became open season. For the fox and the hunter, the sparks and the thunder that pushed the boy under, then pillage and plunder. It kinda makes me wonder how one can hurt another. But dehumanizing the victim makes things simpler. It's like breathing with a respirator. It eases the conscience of even the most conscious and calculating violator. Words can reduce a person to an object, something more easy to hate, an inanimate entity, completely disposable, no problem to obliterate. But death is the silence, in this language of violence. Death is the silence, but death is the silence. In this cycle of violence, death is the silence. It's tough to be young and young long to be tougher. When we pick on someone else, it might make us feel rougher. Abused by the fathers, but that was at homos. To prove to each other if they were not homos. The exclamation of the phobic fury, execution of judge and jury. The mob mentality, individuality was nowhere. Dignity forgotten at the bottom of a dumb old dare. And a numb cold stare. On the way home, it was back to name calling. 10 against 1, they had us back against the wall. They reveled in the laughter as they surrounded him. But it wasn't a game when they up jumped and down. They picked up the bats with the muscles straining. And they decided they were gonna beat this fella's brain with an awful, powerful shout. An hour full of violence. And the strictest brutality and dominance. They didn't hear him screaming, they didn't hear him bleeding. They ran like cowards and left the boy bleeding in a pool of red. Until all tears were shed and his eyes quietly slid into the back of his head. But death is the silence, in this language of violence. Death is the silence, but death is the silence. In this cycle of violence, death is the silence. The boy's parents were gone and his grandmother had raised him. She was mad she had no form of retaliation. The pack did not to worry about being on a hit list, but the thing they never thought about was that there was a witness to the senseless crime. Right place, wrong time. Tried as an adult, one of them was gonna do a hard time. The first day of prison was always the hardest. The first day of prison, the hallways, the darkest like a gun. The voice is haunted, faggot, sissy, punk, queen, queer. Words he used before had a new meaning in here. As a group of men in front of him laughed and came near. For the first time in his life, the young bully felt fear. He'd never been on this side of the name calling. 5 against 1, they had us back up against the wall. And he had never questioned his own sexuality. But this group of men didn't hesitate their reality with an awful, powerful shout. An hour full of violence, of the strictest brutality and dominance. They didn't hear him screaming, they didn't hear him bleeding. They took what they wanted and then just left the bleeding in the corner. The giant reduced to Jack Horner. Dehumanizing the victim makes things simpler. It's like breathing with a respirator. It eases the conscience of even the most conscious and calculating violator. The power of words, don't take it for granted. When you hear a man ranting, don't just read the lips. Be more sublime than this. Put everything in context. Is this a tale of rough justice in a land where there's no justice at all? Who is really the victim? Or are we all the cause, a victim of it all? When death is the silence, in this language of violence. Death is the silence. When death is the silence, in the cycle of violence. Death is the silence.